Hi, Alex here from Rebeloper.com and welcome back to this epic in-app purchase series on in-app purchases. Of course, all of it in Xcode 10, Swift 4.2 and iOS 12. And today we are going to talk about all virtual goods. Now, this might not sound a little about in-app purchases, but it does sound a lot more gaining more money from in-app purchases. So without further ado, let's dive into it. Okay, virtual goods. What are they good for, and why are we talking about virtual currency, secondary virtual currency, and virtual goods? And we are going to talk about virtual goods in this episode. Well, virtual goods are a way of spending virtual currency in your game. Let's say you want to buy 10 bombs, or you want to buy a helmet or a sword or something that can be purchased with your virtual currency, like coins. And of course, coins can be bought with real money. And that is how you make your money from your apps. You make your users buy virtual currency, and then they can spend that virtual currency on goods. Virtual goods. So today we are going to talk about how you can implement them with the help of Rebeloper Store. And of course, this is a part of Rebeloper Store Pro. And if you haven't already done so, go ahead and purchase it from, and I will just go ahead and go to our site store.rebeloper.com and just scroll down and find Rebeloper Store. Okay, now let's get back to the code, and here on my device, you can see that I have our virtual goods added, and I will show you where that was. So tap on the right, the extreme right tab bar button and select virtual goods, and this view controller will pop up. As you can see, we have our coins, gems, and we will talk about gems, the secondary virtual currency, in the next video. So we have our coins, gems, bombs, sword, and a helmet. Now, what you need to know here is that bombs are consumable virtual goods, and the other two, sword and helmet, are non-consumable. So you may buy them only once. And as you can see, we have our red use bomb button that can, of course, use those bombs. So consume that consumable. So for the sword, we may buy it for 50 coins. For the helmet, we may buy it for 80 gems. And of course, we will need to talk about the secondary virtual currency here, but that is for the next video. And we have our bombs that which we can buy 5 bombs for 150 coins. And of course, we may buy this for not only coins, we may buy bombs or consumables, and for a matter of fact, non-consumables too, for gems. So let's take a look at the starter code, and let's dive into enabling all of this in the starter project. So first of all, go ahead, and if you already haven't done so, take a look at the previous episodes in this series to understand what I'm doing, because I will not want to repeat myself all over again, and you might not understand everything that I am going to do here. So here we have, first of all, a consumable virtual good, commit virtual good purchase. So this is from the virtual goods header delegate, and that is for the use bomb, and we will talk about this later. Here we purchase a virtual good, and that is from the purchase cell delegate, and we are basically tapping on the green button to buy something. Okay, we'll talk about these two in just a moment. But for now, let's set up our data source. Okay, and we want to set up our view source too. And we are adding our delegate, and we are populating it. And we are setting up our size source too. Great. Now, let's just scroll down If you don't understand what I'm talking about here and I'm not explaining to you right now, go ahead and check out the previous videos. Okay, we want to have the data source in our notification observer, and as you can see, we are not fetching some sort of product. We are just adding our virtual good purchases because Rebeloper Store handles these virtual good purchases. As you can see here, our data is just simply virtual good purchases and not like, let me just go back, let's go to the non-renewable subscription controller and let's just scroll up and it says, okay, here we go, let's just scroll a little bit down and it says Rebeloper Store fetch purchases and so on. So it's not like we are fetching from the App Store these information, but we are fetching it from our keychain. So that's that. Okay, great. We are missing our data. Okay, we will handle this later on. Let's just scroll a little bit down and uncomment everything in the setup provider again. This is all explained in the previous videos. Okay, now let's take a look at our populate with data. And of course, this is in our virtual good purchases. So let's go to our purchase cell and enable this. And as you can see here, we have our populate with virtual good purchases. So let's comment that out, or rather yet, let's get rid of the comments. And here you can see that we are grabbing our virtual good purchase and we are adding it to our virtual good purchase in ourself. But for that, we need to go up, all the way up and comment that again in. Okay, let's just scroll down and hopefully we won't have any errors now. Great. And now this virtual good purchase has a title, has a description, and we can grab our virtual purchase button title for our virtual good purchase. And of course, on the main queue, we set the title of our purchase button. Okay, now you might wonder what else is there to set up. Well, we of course we don't need to have our Rebeloper Store config set up because that is handling all of the App Store Connect data. Now we want to set up our Rebeloper Store setup, and let me just go a little bit up. And here we go. Virtual good purchase IDs. Now, these are not IDs that you want to set up in App Store Connect. You are only setting this up inside your own app. And I have 3 purchases for the sword, the bomb, and the helmet. And as you can see, the first one is virtual non-consumable, the sword, virtual consumable good 2, and that is a consumable, so it's a bomb, so you may consume it, and another virtual non-consumable good 3. Of course, we want to add them into our virtual good purchase IDs, and here's the good thing. You may set up how many virtual goods the user gets upon first launch. Now, this is only the first launch when they first download your app. If they delete it and come back to your app again, they download it from the App Store, they will not be granted, and that is a good thing because they will get these first amounts every time they download it. So 0, 10, and 0. So 0 for the sword, 10 for the bomb, and 0 for the helmet. Okay, now how do we set up these virtual goods? Because as you can remember, in App Store Connect we have set the title, the price, and so on, the description. So let's just scroll a little bit even further down and you will see that we have our virtual good purchases set up. Now we just hide this so you may see even clearer. Okay, here we have our virtual good purchase dictionary one, and here we add our virtual good is consumable, and let me just say, yeah, here it is. It's a bit wide to understand, and It is not consumable, the first one, so it is the sword, so we set it to false. And of course you need to create these dictionaries for your virtual goods, but here are the keys. So virtual good type, and that is the purchase one. Virtual currency payable type, so with what type of currency are we paying it for? And as you can see in the demo app, let me just show you here, we pay in coins. So we are setting the primary virtual currency as the payable type. Virtual good amount, how much are we going to get? Of course 1, because this is not a consumable. Virtual currency payable amount, so how much do we want to pay for it? Let me show you again, 50 coins, 50 there. Okay, product title, self-explanatory, description, again self-explanatory, and virtual good buy button text, buy for 50 coins now. Okay, and finally we have a virtual good already purchased button text that of course it is already purchased, but you may type in here anything to your liking. You will see it in action in just a moment. Okay, that is for our non-consumable virtual dictionary, purchase dictionary. So let's talk about our bombs. As you can guess, the virtual good is consumable is set to true, and we have our purchase to for our virtual good type. We are paying with the primary virtual currency, but it could be the secondary virtual currency, as you will see in the third dictionary. We are going to get the product amount of 5, so 5 bombs for 150 coins, and the title and the description is self-explanatory. Of course, our button text and the already purchased button text is also self-explanatory. And this is empty because we are not going to have an already purchased, because consumables can be purchased as many times as one wishes. Okay, let's talk about the last dictionary, and that is for the helmet. It is the same basically as the first dictionary. What is not the same is this virtual currency payable. Yep, the virtual currency payable type, and it is the secondary virtual currency, as I have mentioned before. And this itself is self-explanatory. Now, with these dictionaries, we need to create these virtual good purchases and add them to this virtual good purchases array. And that's it. This is basically the App Store Connect of your virtual goods part. Okay, now let's see what if this builds. So let me just stop the final version from my device and run this version, the starter version, and let's see. Yes, we have forgotten one thing, and let's go to that error. So our header, virtual goods header, isn't populated. So we need to grab those, how many coins, how many gems, how many helmets, how many bombs there are. So we need to populate that, and we can do that inside our headers. And it is set up in the virtual goods header, and just scroll all the way down. Okay, it's a long one, and let's populate it. Okay, so let's take a look at this. So basically, and I will just again make this a little larger so you may see everything. We want to get our coin amount, and that is pretty straightforward. Rebeloper Store get virtual currency amount of primary virtual currency. We want to get, of course, and we are adding it to the coin count labels text, and we want to get the gem amount, okay, with the secondary virtual currency. It is the same as the primary virtual currency. How easy is that? Okay, and everything is handled by Rebeloper Store. Okay, for the bomb amount, for the sword amount, the helmet amount, it is the same. Get virtual good amount, and we are getting the purchase 2, purchase 1, and purchase 3. And we are, of course, assigning them to the helmet count label and all of the other labels. Now, this should work by now. Let's just build and run and see if everything works okay. If it doesn't, we'll take care of it. If not, we will have a great time having some in-app purchases, like virtual in-app purchases. So, let me just unlock that and see how it goes. So let's go and select virtual goods. And first of all, let's try out our use bump. I believe that doesn't really work right now. Yep, we still need to plug that. So before I go further, let's do that. Okay, let's go to our virtual goods controller. Sorry for the confusion. I have forgot about that. So let's scroll all the way up and let's select consume consumable virtual good. And I will just comment out all of this and explain for you. So Rebeloper Store and commit virtual good change. Because we are going to consume one bomb, we are changing the amount of virtual good to -1 because we are getting rid of one bomb. And of virtual good type purchase 2, that is the bombs, and we are getting back a result and an amount. We could print out the consumed amount with the result of success or failed, and of course after, let's say, 1 second. And this is a kind of a good thing because there are many things going on behind the scenes, and you should wait around half a second or 1 second to reload the data. And by that we are reloading the header too, so we should get the correct amount for the bombs. Okay, so we are reloading the collection view. That is what we are going after the purchase has been committed. Okay, now what we want to do finally is purchase some virtual goods. And it is kind of the same as with real purchases. First of all, we get our user info, and from that user info we get our purchase, and then we are committing our purchase with Rebeloper Store commit, and this time virtual good purchase, and we add in our purchase and we come back with a result. And if the result is true, then of course we want to reload our data, and this time we are reloading the data on the collection view. So let's build and run again, and this time we should get set up everything correctly. Okay, let's see. Let's select virtual goods and let's tap on use bomb. And as you can see, now we have only 9 bombs. Let's do that again. 8 bombs. Great. Okay, now let's buy a sword. Okay, let's tap on buy for 50 coins now. And for some reason it isn't working. Let me just double check. Okay, so upon further investigation, I have just found out that when we grab the user info for that purchase, we are basically not getting anything. And that is why we need to in this handle purchase button delegate, we want to enable virtual good purchase. So basically we are creating a user info and we are adding that with our virtual good purchase, and we are adding that to our delegate. So when it is called, and it is called right here, let me just go to our virtual goods. It is called commit virtual good purchase. We are guardlet unwrapping our user info, getting our virtual good purchase, and committing our virtual good purchase. So this time around it should really work 3 times and we should be ready. Okay, let me just see. Here we go. Virtual goods. So the bombs are working, and now let's test for the sword. Yes, confirm purchase. Buy 1 sword for 50 coins. Yes, please buy. And success, your purchase was successful. Okay, let's click on OK. Now let's buy some bombs, and I would just leave it like so, so you may see the updated count of the bombs. So buy, confirm purchase, buy 5 bombs for 150 coins. Yes, please buy. Okay, and that is it. We have 13 bombs. Great, let's use one. Okay, now let's buy some helmets. And as you can see, this is real pro fruit, as you will see. Currently we have only 50 gems, but a helmet costs 80 gems. So let's try to buy it, okay? And let's see. Oh, confirm purchase. We buy it, but there is insufficient funds. So you don't have enough funds to complete this action. Okay. Now, we want to buy some more gems with some coins. So let's go back and select secondary virtual repurchase, and we are not done yet with the implementation of our secondary virtual purchases. The secondary virtual currency purchases, that's a mouthful, so we are not done with that, but we are going to implement that in the next video. So if you really like this virtual goods tutorial video with Rebeloper Store, go ahead and check it out on our site. Let me just go again here. It's store.rebeloper.com, and maybe give it a go, purchase it, and give it a thumbs up for the video, and subscribe if you haven't already done so. And of course, hit that notification bell. Whoever hits the notification bell first wins. I don't know what, but you win. Okay, so with that funny note, I will see you in the next one.